Smiley from the Energy Boutique with your energy forecast for Saturday, March 19th. So welcome to New Year's Eve. Why do I say that? Because this is the last day of the old calendar. We are about to move into Aries season tomorrow, where the equinox gets triggered, giving us a brand new energetic and astrological calendar to work with, a brand new energy to work with, a reset, a equal balanced playing field for us to move forward with. This is very exciting, but with this last day of the old calendar, the last day of Pisces season, you best believe that we are going to be overwhelmed, overstimulated, pressurized, triggered, activated in order to wrap up the old, to face our darkness, face our shadow, recognize what it is that we're not taking with us into the new calendar, into the new life lesson, and what needs to stay in the past behind us where it belongs. This is going to be a very tricky day. We're still very much in the full moon energy, but we have a lot of help because the moon is now going to be in Libran energy, which provides us with an opportunity for balance, provides us an opportunity to get our heart and our head on the same page. It provides us with a little bit of stability that, of course, we've been lacking, and a good grounding point to actually sort through the details of what it is that we're leaving behind in the old calendar, in the old chapter. There's been many elements of closure, of endings, of death of ego, death of relationships, death of jobs, and unfortunately, death of people. We are not the same. We are moving into a brand new calendar as totally different people. We have made quantum leaps. We have jumped timelines. We have jumped storylines. We have reached a new level of vibration and frequency. We have new life lessons about to unfold, new soul contracts about to unfold. We are entering into a brand new year. It is very exciting, but we have to get through the day first. There are 11 different aspects taking place here today. 10 of them involve the moon. Again, we're still in full moon energy. This is a pressurized day. You likely will not be feeling well, mind, body, or soul. And we really do just have to ride the wave as we leave the old and as we prepare to enter into the new. Now, the day doesn't get off to too bad of a start because we have the moon trining with Mars. This is a good energy because we are finding our grounding, finding our footing. We've had a lot of very powerful realizations and shifts in our heart space and our head space. The moon in Libra, of course, wants to provide us with an understanding on where it is that we need to kind of find the solid ground in the here and now, find the silver linings, where we have to kind of orientate ourselves for the futuristic, visions that we're now willing to pursue. And this is going to help us kind of just get our perspective, get our focus, our will, our determination, our passions, our desires, our inspirations in check. This is where we become a little bit more in the moment and realize that we are in a very weird adjustment period of leaving the past behind, but not yet standing in the futuristic realm. The moon is going to sit across from an opposed Chiron, though. And of course, Chiron is in Aries. Aries sits across from Libra. The moon in Libra really does seek, cooperation and compromise between our heart and our head. That Chiron energy is the wounded healer. We are recognizing a lot of progress, a lot of growth, but we're also recognizing the darker parts of us that we just can't seem to shake, that obviously we would like to leave behind, we would love to detach from, but we don't feel like we've completed the lesson yet. So these wounds are kind of mocking us at this point because we've tried to shed this dark narrative, these dark feelings, these dark memories, but they're kind of mocking us because they're like, you know what? You still haven't completed the lesson. You haven't totally absorbed, the life lesson and the energy here. I'm coming with you into the new year, and we're not so happy about that. The moon goes ahead and trines Venus. Venus, of course, the ruler over Libran energy. The trine is a beautiful energy. This is a blending of energy of sorts. And we finally realize what it is that we're moving forward with. the people that we're moving forward with, the wants, needs, and desires that we have, the value and the worth that we have within ourselves. We are recognizing where it is that we're finding peace and harmony within ourselves, because now we have the confidence and the self-esteem to do so. We've been exercising some self-love, and that's really kind of coming into our full awareness right now. And we're not afraid to stand alone in our self-love if no one of worth and value seems to rise the occasion to love us in the way that we now need to demand. The moon is going to bump into Uranus, and this is likely going to come from a trigger, from an activation outside of us that we have no control over. This is a change in plans, a disruption in our physical realms. This is new information, new conversations, bringing to light things that we really weren't counting on, that we didn't take into effect. Still, we're in this full moon energy, so there is a full illumination of hidden details that we weren't once kind of aware of. This is likely going to create a little bit of instability in our emotional field and in our thoughts. Venus goes ahead and squares Uranus just after, and this is really going to put us at odds, because we're recognizing right now that we're wanting a lot more freedom and independence than some of our relationships are willing to give us. And we are on the brink of aligning with some soul family members that, although that sounds very beautiful, can be hella scary. Our commitment phobe issues are kind of rising to the surface. Although we do desire connection and intimacy and a little bit more validation of worth and value from the people that we want to want us, we tend to kind of pull away. We tend to be cold. We tend to be a little bit rigid. We tend to want to isolate ourselves and then sit in this funk of realizing that we want people to want us. And we want to want other people too, but we're not making any actions to be raw and vulnerable. So it is a kind of a weird little standoff that we're having in our emotions, in our mindset with the physical relationships in our lives at this moment. Now, this confusion is necessary in order for us to actually see what it is that we actually want. Sometimes we need to take space. We need to disconnect. We need people to pull away from us for us to actually realize that we don't want them to pull away, that we want them closer. Or we can find ourselves in situations where we pull away from these people, wanting more, wanting connection, wanting intimacy. And then all of a sudden we realize that when we're out of their energy, it actually feels better for us to be disconnected from them. And that really puts that relationship and energy exchange dynamic into perspective. So there's a lot of aha moments that are coming out of feeling emotionally disconnected from the people that we quote unquote want the most. The moon is going to go ahead and bump into Mercury. And the moon bumping into Mercury right now is a little bit of a learning lesson for us to align our heart and our head to see the situations unfolding in our physical realm that we don't really have control over, the confusion, the uncertainty that's arising, especially in our relationship dynamics. And this is kind of a disconnect between our egoic self and our higher self. Of course, Mercury is in Pisces, which is not a vibe and energy, because Mercury wants to rely on the lower level intellect of logic and practicality to make sense of everything. But of course, in Piscean waters, nothing makes sense. Everything is vague. Everything is dreamy and fantasy-like. And the moon right now in Libran energy just wants us to bridge the gap from reality to fantasy, right? To see where it is that logic and practicality can be intertwined with intuition and we can find a common ground. But at this particular point, because we're uncertain, because we've had this little disruption in our personal relationships, we're really at odds. We don't know what to do. We don't know what to think. We don't know what to feel. We don't even know how to find common ground because we don't even know where it is that we're at. We're very much experiencing the polar opposites and the extremes in our heart and in our head at this particular point in time. Now, we're only going to sit with this for a couple of hours because the moon goes ahead and bumps into the true node in a very positive way. This is really going to illuminate for us where it is that, you know what? We can find common ground. We can find compromise. We can cooperate with the dysfunction of the reality in which we're living. The true node wants to show us where it is our soul's destiny, where it is that our soul wants us to be, where it is that we have to make plans and come up with a strategy and logical and practical steps in order to take in our physical realms to actually get to the point that we need to be, that our soul is calling us to be at. And the moon in Libra and energy, of course, just wants to love, just wants to compromise, wants to meet us ourselves halfway. It really does kind of provide us with a little bit more negotiation between our heart and our head, between our realities and fantasies, between where it is that we stand and other people stand. We really are just standing. We're taking one step forward. We're asking ourselves and other people to meet us halfway. The moon is going to bump into Jupiter in not the most pleasant way. Again, this is probably riding off of the earlier incident of our personal relationships, really kind of throwing a wrench into our plans, if you will. Jupiter wants us to grow. He wants us to expand. He's in Pisces energy, so we're really relying on our intuition and our dreams and our inspiration at this time. The moon in Libra, of course, is more on the logical, practical side of life and wanting to meet our out of realm fantasies halfway. I will say this though, the emotions that we're going to be experiencing because of the external situations taking place can get a little bit extra, can get hella dramatic. Libran energy is very indecisive anyways. So having this pressurized system kind of put us at odds with ourselves and with those that we love, it does have a tendency to kind of push us to our breaking point where we just kind of want to retract from being around people, from communicating, from even kind of being in alignment with ourselves and just kind of check out. Again, we're in Pisces season, the last degrees of Pisces. We're in the last degrees of this old calendar. We don't want to deal with it anymore. We just want to curl up in a ball, go to bed, and wake up in a brand new year. The moon trines Saturn though, and this really pulls us out of that cocoon, out of that funk. We realize where it is that, the universe isn't going to fix itself, that we are in control, that it's up to us to be accountable and responsible for our own emotions, for our own actions. We can't sit back and really crave someone else's energy and emotions. We can't sit back and fantasize that somebody can read our mind and is going to come to us and do this Hallmark storyline of, professing their love and professing their energy and effort and understanding to us. That is very fantasy. That is very Piscean energy. What we need to understand is that we have a choice to make all the time. If we find ourselves sitting in a situation where we're craving the love and attention from someone else, but we're not making any efforts to be raw and vulnerable with them, well, whose fault is that? We're all needing to stand in our own power. We all need to boss up right now. We all need to recognize that new foundations in our emotions, in our heart space, in our head space, in our personal relationships, new foundations, new systems need to be built if we want to actually bring to life the fantasies, the dreams that we're currently envisioning. The moon goes ahead and bumps into Mercury, and this is a beautiful energy because we're finally coming back down to earth just a tad. Yes, that mercurial energy is still in Piscean energy. We do have a tendency to dream and get lost in the delusion and fantasy, but the moon in Libra is saying, hey, we can live a reality that mirrors some kind of movie. We can bring the romance back into this very unromantic situation. We can bring the magic back to this very dark situation that we're in, but we're going to have to get our heart and our head on the same page and realize that we have to back our actions with the heart and the head energy that we're sitting here fantasizing about. The biggest thing here is that we're moving into a brand new calendar. We're moving into Aries energy, which is all about action. So today we have to fall apart in our heart and our head to figure out where it is that we need to boss up and actually make the moves in our lives, take the actions that are necessary to align our heart and head space with the actions that we're taking in our physical realm. We end the day off with the moon making an aspect with Neptune. Neptune is in Pisces, the ruler of Pisces season, about to be dethroned, so to speak, moving into Aries. And the moon bumping into Neptune in this way is giving us an opportunity to grow. That opportunity of growth is recognizing where it is that we can't just stay isolated in our inner realms, in our heart, in our head, and hope other people outside of us do the actions that we're hoping and dreaming and praying that they make. It's up to us to have accountability and responsibility within our own lives, within our own selves, to boss up and be raw and vulnerable, to speak very clearly on what it is that we want, to be very clear on our intentions, This is a life lesson for us to bring into our realities the dreams and fantasies that many of us have get lost and deluded in. This is a good energy for us to really strip ourselves down, prepare ourselves for this brand new calendar that we're about to move in, and get very real on where it is that we have been neglecting our own roles and responsibilities to take action and make things happen in our own lives. So I'm going to end this off with Happy New Year's Eve. I hope that you are able to navigate this energy with as much grace and as much ease, because we are about to bust into a brand new energy, a brand new life lesson, a brand new calendar. I wish you a happy new year.